we're going to talk about another angle that seems to have grabbed, or rather raised eyebrows over this certain Russian oil waiver controversy. US here seems to be doubling down on India's claim. US says that India had stopped sanctioned Russian oil and has now called India to be a responsible actor on Russian oil claims. However, saying that this is only a temporary permission that seems to have been granted. Well, this is important to, in a way, see the words that are now being used by the US authorities: allow, permitted, and that seems to have been picked up by the opposition here, because this is another statement that is now coming in from the American authorities saying that our allies in India have been good actors in previously stopping buying sanctioned Russian oil. But this is there as the developments have been continuing in the Middle East with the Strait of Hormuz having been blocked. US is now giving India go-ahead to purchase Russian oil for at least a month. Now, amid this oil waiver controversy, Congress back home seems to be raising questions over Scott Bessent's remarks, slamming the center, because this seems to have been an opportunity for the opposition to target the government. And on this very another statement, again, the words here have been the point of focus on what the opposition has been saying. As I said, the words allowed, permitted, good actors, all of them now seems to be highlighted on part of the Congress party to question the government. And it seems that over yet another statement that has now been made by Scott Bessent, it has now been picked up by the Congress party. So now they have been saying that Indians have been very good actors and we asked them to stop buying Russian oil, and they did. Now we have given them permission to buy Russian oil. Well, this is what the Congress party now says are the words of the United States Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, and exactly what I said. This is now the opposition, and this is on part of the Samajwadi Party, IP Singh, saying that India has never faced such humiliation as what America and its president are just doing today. We'll eat 2 fewer rotis, but we will not tolerate the insult. He says now we have given permission to buy oil from Russia. Scott Bessent and the finance minister of Trump administration, the Trump administration is now saying, and straight up to that, India does exactly what we tell them to do. And he is giving us permission that we can now buy oil from Russia. Now, Srinjoy, this seems to be the basic premise what the opposition has now been raising. India's stand, however, has been clear. We are a developing nation, India first, and market dynamics makes those decisions. But the opposition says for a country of 1.4 billion people waiting for Washington's approval, this is now coming in at a cost where, again, the surrender or the compromise jibe seems to be taken again on part of the opposition.
India will buy or sell whatever it wants from wherever it wants. That's the bottom line. So if there is a question about Russian oil, India will buy it if it's necessary. Now, it must be said that the oil that India was buying from Russia, most of it was being bought by private sector firms. And these private sector firms realized that when the 2 Russian big oil giants were sanctioned and they continued to buy, they would be sanctioned by the Americans too. So the private sector firms decided not to buy so much Russian oil. So this decision was taken by the Indian private sectors to reduce imports from Russia. The point is, whenever India has wanted to buy or sell anything from any country in national interest, India has chosen to do it.
Well, this is exactly what has been India's stand, but the opposition deems it as an insult, as an humiliation, saying that Indians are not actors in somebody else's script, and they're now demanding answers from the government of India. Srinjoy, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Mistry and Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey as well for your time and for your point of view. We're going to head into a very short break. The coverage continues on the other side as well.